We've got some
Hey,
fresh
I'm
new young
Luis.
talent
And I'm
doing some
Luis.
things
And
that
you're
I know
listening
you
to the
haven't
Content
heard
is
before.
Profit podcast.
And we spent the last 4 years learning the strategies and techniques from some of the top marketers in the world on how to create content that turns into profit.
If you'd like to learn how to turn that content into profit, just go to contentisprofit.com. Oh yeah, have we said content is profit enough, Fonzie?
Maybe, maybe not. We will be saying it way more.
Yes.
But guys, today we have an incredible guest. And it's honestly the first time that we have a guest within this category, if you want to put it that way.
I know.
And we're going to be talking all about content lessons from a 50 million streams musician. Ooh, I'm very excited.
That's juicy. Just saying.
That's a juicy topic.
Yes, Fonzie, tell me about the sponsor we got today.
Indeed. Thank you for asking,
You're
sir.
welcome.
And today's sponsor is your own, the BIZBROS, with content momentum. And you might be asking yourself, what is content momentum? Well, if you produce a long-form piece of content, just like this one that you are listening to
Yes.
or
Yes.
watching,
Yes.
and you want to maximize your effort, you need a team that comes and help you out, turn that piece of content into value-packed bite-sized assets.
baby.
Then we want to help you out. We are right there for you. Just slide in the DMs at BIZBROS Co. on Facebook, on Instagram.
That's right, Fonzie, you got it right, man. That was
Appreciate
good.
it.
I was
Thank you.
I want to do that. Can we do that?
Let's continue, please.
Yes, let's continue. All right, guys, don't forget and go ahead and follow the show because every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, these conversations are dropping on your phone and they're incredible. They're going to help you move your business forward. And don't forget to follow us on social media at BIZBROS. Go share some love because there's a ton of golden boulders right there for you to also take action.
That is right. And if you find today's episode impactful, if today's guest helps you, inspires you, motivates you to take on your goals, please don't forget to share it because you can do the same thing for somebody else. Please, please, please also, and this is a little bit of a selfish ask, but leave a 5-star review if you enjoyed today's episode. It would help us reach more people so we
Yes.
can help more people as well. Thank you.
Baby, today we have a special treat for you. Our good friend George Bryant connected us with today's guest. As you know, and you know if it's coming from George, it's legit. I just had to reread that for a second.
I noticed. That is right. I'm so excited. Today's guest is actually the first musician we have ever had on the show. And let me tell you, his music is not the only thing that is amazing. His marketing around his brand, it's on point. And you are here to learn all about it.
Today's guest is a master of community and connection. He has over 50 million streams, mind-blowing. He has also played all over North America and Europe, and now possibly in Content is Profit. Oh, baby, we'll see. We'll see. But most importantly, he is the father of a beautiful little girl.
I'm so excited for this conversation. Please welcome incredibly talented musician and new friend, Will Evans. What's up, Will?
This is the most hyped show I've ever been on.
we get that.
We tend to get that.
Love that. Obrigado.
Yes,
That's awesome.
I feel like I need like a confetti gun.
We have these guys right here. Boom, boom, boom.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Did that originate in Hispanic culture? That like it seems like something that is like, you know, it's heard in a lot that and that other that like instrument when you started the show that's like.
Yeah.
What is that?
To me, it sounds like music. I'm no technical at all, but here the horn. I mean, I think it originated in Hispanic music at some point with reggaeton. I think it was very common.
Yeah. Okay.
The DJs, you know, will have their thing and they'll be running the party and they'll hit it like, hey, go crazy, crazy hour. We had this thing called Crazy Hour in the parties and. I don't know. That would be a cool thing to research.
You know, the interesting thing is that it is actually a sound that I feel like it has been used so many times in a very specific situation that it puts people in a state of mind. When people use that, you know it is party time. It is excitement time, right? So it's pretty interesting how people can use that to maybe trigger some sort of emotions.
It definitely brings me back to college majors.
Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
Sounds good. Well, great state of mind to talk about content business, music, and all that stuff. So we got connected through a mutual friend, George, who has been raving about you, about your music, about, what it means. And he was like, man, like through the whole mastermind that we had in the last week or so, this is the only thing that we played, and we got hooked as well. Like he sent me a couple songs and I was like, man, it's been incredible and it's been such a refreshing take too. But at the same time, as we connected and we started to get to know you a little bit better, there's so much more to kind of unpack here. And we're like, how can we relate this to the show? And I think your story is very powerful. So I would love for you to share a little bit of how this career move started. Is it a passion? Was it always there? And then kind of like your personal story on broadcasting all over the world with these new tools that we have available today.
Sure. Where to start? Let's see. I got into music. I've been into music since I could talk. We attended a Baptist church when I was a kid, and I sang in the choir from a very early age, and I had no idea or interest really in the religion so much. The spiritual aspect, however, was what really captivated me. And singing songs in a cathedral, in a church, generally the acoustics are really amazing, and I think that hearing my voice resonating with others in harmony, like we were always taught in Baptist choir, like when we were very young, like everyone sang in unison. And then for those of you who don't know like what that means, it just means like you all sing the same notes together, and there's no harmony. And for some reason, I always naturally heard the harmony notes, and I would just start singing them. And I remember the choir director being like, "Okay, Will, like that's great, but like, can you sing?" And I just don't understand. Because I would sing it as loud as I could to try to match the rest of the choir. Because I just loved that sound, and from that moment on, I always just music's just been more. It's more than a passion. It's really it's a part of my very being, like I need it as much as I need air. And there's times when it just it feels like you get in a flow state of performance or whatever, where everything's just clicking. And I'm a very much of like a perfectionist type of player, and so I really I get off on getting to that level. That's like really like the sweetest thing in victory in life for me, is to enter that state of just being a conduit for this energy flow and sending it out to my audience and seeing that reaction. So, being that we were barred from playing any venues for the last year, that was a really difficult roadblock to navigate, and live streaming became like, for a lot of us, the path to connecting again, and it's not the same. I gotta say, like, there's nothing like a live experience and a live energy exchange with human beings, but it certainly you could feel the impact, and I received a lot of really positive feedback from our fan base, and we kind of turned that into we kind of took that and ran with it as a brand of kindness and compassion. Something that I feel like the world sorely needs more and more these days. And it's such an easy thing to do. I think so many people get lost in that sea of negativity, and that those kind of echo chambers of the news cycle of negative feedback and negative broadcasting. And the worst thing we can do is to to buy into that narrative of like there's no way out. It starts with your community, it starts with your family, and it starts with kindness. And so we started the fan group called Kind Folk, and we took that and we ran with it, and now we have a community within a year of over 1,000 super fans, we call them, and we call them the Kind Folk. And I've got merchandise right here, actually.
Nice. Oh, wait, it froze a little bit. You're gonna have to show us again.
Yes, the Kind Folk.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Oh, okay.
It looks. Oh, I love it.
Yeah, because like honestly, like. Yeah, just like we got a bunch of hoodies and shirts and stuff, and we want to really like empower the fan base because they're the engine to my career.
Yeah.
They're the ones who are, we're completely independent. They're the ones that are helping me continue to fund recording and putting out more content. It's impossible without the audience to do that,
Absolutely. Wow.
So I'll pause there, and then you can, because I can go on for a while. But,
I love it, Will. Thank you so much for sharing, right?
Yeah.
And like the first takeaway that I got from this is the passion, like you mentioned, right? That you are so passionate that you need it as much as you need air pretty much to breathe, right? And we come from the soccer world, right? We wanted to be professional soccer players. And, our mom tried to get us into music. Unfortunately, she failed. We don't play any instrument, but we love music, right? We know the power that it has, like you're saying, that transfer of energy that it has. But what I was going with the passion is like, I feel I understand you there so much because of the passion that we have for soccer, right? When we were just crazy about soccer, that's all we wanted to do, that's all we could think about, right? Unfortunately, we didn't make it professionally, and we had to pivot a little bit, but I totally get that passion feeling. And I'm curious because a lot of people start running these businesses, right? And even though you're an incredible musician, your band, your music becomes a business, right? Like you are a business, you are a brand. And I think is great that, the passion is such a driver for you. But what would you say to people that maybe they lack a little bit of that, or maybe they're still trying to find what they're passionate about? What can help them, right? Be inspired, motivated, or something that can help them move forward.
So let me say this. Like for me, I have a hard time. I'm an introverted type of person, and except when I'm on stage, it's like you take on this character. It's like I get to put on a mask, and I can, be whatever I want, and the music is my armor, right? But I also have a hard time, like like making merchandise. I don't like seeing my name like across somebody's chest. I'm not. Yeah. I don't have that need to. I don't do this because I need the like the ego part of it. There's always that ego that like wants to make its way into whatever it is you're doing, but I don't like that space when it comes up. So for me, like it was easier to build a community like the Kind Folk that I feel I love seeing that logo on people's chests because it's not about me, it's about us. And that really I think was a compelling way to bring people in too. It's it's not just another singer-songwriter or artist who's wants you to, yes, I want people to respect my music and my artistry. Yeah. And but I will outwork you to get there. I don't need to be, I don't need the adoration. I will just outwork you. Yeah. Because how I was raised. That's how my dad was raised, grew up with nothing. in a first generation immigrant family, and he worked his butt off, and that kind of work ethic was instilled in myself and my siblings, and like you guys, I was a three-sport athlete. Soccer was my best sport, and I was playing. I was gonna play in college, and the school that was recruiting me, the coach told me, "We're gonna have to bulk you up. You're." I was just a really small kid, and I didn't grow till later, and I said, "I'm gonna outwork you." And I went to another school and played somewhere else, and we beat that team.
Yes.
So it was just, that's the way I kind of I just, you have this insatiable drive to be the best version of yourself, and I've kind of taken my competitiveness from sports and put it all into my own kind of internal, how do I get better at this? How do I create better art that I feel more compelled to share? And that's where I kind of channeled because you never lose that competitive edge, right?
Absolutely.
You always have that I want to, but it's not so much I want to beat the other guys in music or girls, I want to beat myself. I want to be better than my last record. I want to, have something more poignant to share and something that's really going to impact somebody more each time I write. I don't want to just write music that turns the streams channel up or whatever, that's important. That's an important part of your business, but I think it comes with writing very honest and passionate things. People aren't dumb. They can see when you're being real and when you're being fake, and nothing bothers me more than a fake artist, somebody who just wants it for the limelight. It's you're wasting my time. Share something original, share something that is meaningful, and I am on board all day. Doesn't matter how simple it is, it doesn't matter how good it is, but if you're compassionate, if you're really passionate about it, and it's an honest reflection of yourself, then I'm in.
Absolutely. I love it. Wait, before you go there, well, I just gotta say this: next time, when we meet in person, we need to play some soccer. I'm just gonna throw that out there.
Absolutely.
It will be so much fun. And I'm not gonna ask a question. You want to make a quick reflection here, because I know my brother want to ask a few questions. But Will, the other day, I don't know if you're familiar with Jordan Peterson.
I'm not, no.
So he's a famous psychologist, and he has a very famous book, The 12 Rules of Life, if I'm not mistaken. And I saw this video of him talking about how a lot of times in society they try to kind of let go of what some people might call certain demons, which is that competitiveness, the hunger, right? To be the best. And they tell you no, you gotta be nice to everybody and stuff like that. And he says, no, you need to embrace those demons that you have and then learn to control them so you know how to use them in the right settings. And that's what I'm seeing with you right now. You're I embrace this. This is how I am. And I'm gonna, focus this energy into what's important for me and for my community, right? The kind folk. Sorry.
Wow.
Is a language barrier sometimes. Sorry. Pronouncing the word sometimes it's a little tough. But I think it's amazing what you're building, man.
Yeah. Well, it's so incredible how it's not often that in the entrepreneurship side of things we see artists, and now when you're telling your story and where the passion is coming from, and I wrote here the outwork you mentality plus passion, right? It's a bomb of a framework right there, right? I call it framework or thing that you do, because guess what? We're looking at inspiration inside of us, not outside, right? And sometimes when we are in a business setting, there's stuff that we see from others that have walked the path for 10 years and we're starting, right? Or somebody's just starting, right? We're comparing ourselves to that. We just had this conversation with George, right? And there's a disparity there, right? But whenever we go and see ourselves like, hey, was this stream, was this piece of content, was this like community interaction better than the one that we had yesterday? Was this workshop that we fulfilled better than the one that we did before, right? Was this piece better than the one that we recorded yesterday? Is so important, because guess what? That's how we can continue to build, right? And this is something that you had installing you from a very early age, when you saw yourself and impacting an audience with your voice, with your art, with your craft. And I think that's so important, because that's what keeps us going, right? We personally, we go and we look up to different YouTubers and artists and different things, because the drive there, is that internal drive that sometimes a lot of the business people, and we for sure missed it when we first started 5 years ago, right? We were looking at those external things and comparing ourselves to, oh man, like that kid is like 25, look what he's doing, and we're 30, what's going on, right? And it's not the right approach, absolutely not. And then it was the second that when we consider our art, this show, for example, this is what we put out to the world. We had these incredible conversations with people like you to add value to whoever's listening, whether that's one person, whether that's two people. We know Tim is commenting here. If you're watching live, please go ahead and drop the comment, because we thank you. And this is our form of art. So we go back and we're like, was this better than episode number 1? Absolutely, right? And we're so proud of that, and we continue to grow. So I just wanted to make that reflection, because your point of view is super important to keep going, right? And now going back and debriefing that, what does that allow you to do? Perform in different stages, impact people in many ways. Like for us, for the people that George and the mastermind, listening to your music is so positive, it's uplifting. Now we can go and do more, thanks to you improving every single day and being true to your passion and your art, right? So that we need to see that more in the publishing side of things, in the content side of things, in the business side of things. Like, do we actually believe in the business that we're in to be able to put ourselves out there and express your message, however that is, in the music side of things, in the business side of things, in the video, whatever that is, right? Do we actually believe in what we're doing? And that's what I see in you. You really believe in what you do and how you can impact people. And the fact that you have that community behind that name, it's proof of that, right? And that's only gonna grow because of the positive impact that you're creating, right? So
well, I want to take this moment real quick to invite people to follow Will on Instagram and Facebook, Will Evans Music. Is that correct? Yeah, Will Evans Music. And go and follow him on Spotify too. You're definitely going to love his music. It's extremely uplifting. Yeah. And check out his videos. Yes. I'm telling you, he said he's a hard worker. You can tell he's a hard worker. Lately, I've been thinking about when people talk about other people, like, wow, you're so talented. And my first thought is, can you even imagine the hard work that went before that, right? Yeah. So I feel like sometimes people say you're so talented and they disregard all the effort that came before that. Mm-hmm. So instead of saying how talented you are, I wanted to say how hardworking you are. Because, man, like those videos where you're playing all these instruments, it's incredible. So definitely want to encourage everybody to go and connect with you.
We're going to leave all the links right in the description as well. So, easy on you. All you got to do is scroll down and click there and hit follow and listen many, many times. Now, Will, through your story, through your career, right? Like, have you found any moments that have been challenging? Obviously, this past year, I'm assuming it was quite a bit of a challenge, you being a live performer and you feeding off that energy. Was that your toughest moment as far as like creation or driver, or have you encountered these kind of moments throughout your life, and how have you been able to move past them?
No, this has obviously been a hugely impactful year in everyone's life, and it would be selfish to say like, oh, this has been really hard on me, because it's also been there's been a lot of silver linings. Like instead of being on the road for the first year of my daughter's life, I was with her every day, and that you can't put a price on that. what I'll say is that I've had several lessons that I've come across through doing this for over 15, almost 20 years. And my advice to everyone is to fall forward. Always fall forward. Learn from those lessons and keep moving forward with that new wisdom that they, these lessons teach us.
Yeah.
And for me, a lot of times I need a reminder beyond just that kind of mantra of like, just fall forward, like that didn't work, that gig didn't work out the way you wanted it to, or that connection was another dead end. Never think that way. I always think like, oh, that was such a great experience. How lucky am I to have the opportunity to do this? And I've come across some artists in my life that have that chip on their shoulder, and they let it kind of get the best of them. Like they should be better than this. They should be bigger than this. And I try to approach every show, even if it's a sold out show and they're there to see me, as there's somebody out there who's never heard me before, I'm going to win them over. How do I win that person over? It's that one fan at a time philosophy that I think really builds a solid foundation of people that they've got your back, and that's how I feel about this community that we built. So that would be my advice, is just to really take those hard lessons and turn them into a motivator or a driver to take that negative energy, as you were saying before, and channel it towards something good, because it's just a waste otherwise.
Absolutely. I love the positivity and the mindset, man. We were really fortunate to grow up in a house where our mom was, she was connected spiritually. Like, she's a very spiritual person. Yeah. And she would always say to us, everything happens for a reason, and it's always for the best of reasons, right? So even if something really bad happens, our mindset would always goes to, is because of, something great is happening soon, right? It happened for a reason, and it's always for the best of reasons. And I see this mindset on yourself as well, right? It's like always looking for the bright side. And I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, right? With perspective in a lot of things. And it might have been because of the way they were raised, of some of the experiences that they've had, right? Like, I don't want to diminish anybody's past experiences. But I'm curious, have you encountered maybe people along the way that they didn't share the same perspective of you, like you, and maybe how have you been able to help them, right? Maybe transition from that negativity. And I'm asking because in the entrepreneurial world, I feel like it is very easy to get consumed at times, and, with all these negative thoughts, and we are sometimes our own worst enemy. So how do we, shift that perspective?
It's a great question. And I mean, the truth is, there's been many times in my career that I have come to that crossroad of like, okay, like, let's not, nail this coffin to the ground any more than it is. Like, if there comes a point in your career where you're just hitting roadblock after roadblock and you're kind of spiraling out of control, maybe it is a time to shift to another avenue or try something different. I've worked other jobs a lot while being a musician, to subsidize the career. And what I can say is that from those jobs, I've learned very quickly that I liked what I had more when I was in control, and if I needed to do that to get to a point where I could then not do it anymore, then I was going to do that. But everybody's situation and circumstance is different. Yeah. And I've been so fortunate to be able to have parents that were supportive of me following this career. And I think they also recognize that I'm I'm not just doing it for kicks, right? Like this
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
it's a part of my being, and they see the impact that it has, and I think we need to recognize that. It's also not healthy to you see it a lot of times with parents who are overly um, proud of every achievement their kids do, and what does that do? It teaches their kids that like they can't understand when they get rejected.
Yeah.
They don't understand. They don't know how to pick themselves back up,
Yeah.
and so you need to have those stumbling moments in your life to dust yourself off and say like, okay, uh, that one stung a little bit. How do we take that experience and make whatever is better, or maybe it's time to transition towards another lane and see where that goes, but never stop kind of, even if it's a detour, what you did to get there was just as important.
Absolutely.
Like it's taught you so much to get there. So I think you can never disregard what you've been through. You can only utilize it to help you get better. And that it's funny that you brought up the Barefoot Truth thing, because that band had a lot of success early on, and we got to a point where we realized like, okay, this could be something really big, but we're going to have to all be committed to the same cause.
Yeah.
And I was the primary songwriter, the driving force of that group, and they didn't like touring. Not everyone liked touring. It's a really tough reality, to tour and to be away from your family and the comforts of home and stuff like that. And, it really came to a head after a show we had in DC. I had appendicitis, emergency appendectomy, the next morning, and it freaked everyone out that we were, hundreds of miles from our home, and this kind of thing could happen. And so I think everyone was, after that, it was pretty obvious that it was like the drive wasn't there for everyone anymore. And it was really hard for me to have something that I put a lot of energy and branding into, that I couldn't use anymore. But then I had to kind of kick that like, oh, poor me type of attitude, and I started over. And guess what? None of the clubs would book me. None of the places I'd played in the past wanted to hire me because they wanted Barefoot Truth, and we had history in those markets. We'd done really well. We were pulling huge numbers of tickets in many major markets. And they didn't know who Will Evans was. So that was really difficult. And like along that path, I had a lot of times when I thought about veering in a different direction, and especially when we started, thinking about having a family and stuff like that. But never a mistake, always a lesson, and that experience has really gotten me back to where I am now, where I feel like I'm just arriving at this kind of creative crossroads of like, I could do so much. I'm so excited to record my next record, because this whole year and this experience of being a father for the first time and all these things have created some of the most exciting music I've ever written. I'm really excited to get into a studio and put it to wax, as they say in the biz, and share that experience with, because I think it'll help some people. And even if it doesn't reach anybody, I will feel so good to get that off my chest and have it out in the world. It's like giving birth in another sense, right?
Absolutely.
And then I can kind of close that chapter, and I open the next one and see where that goes. And I use everything from the past to kind of enter this new reality. So
please let us know as soon as that's out. We're gonna be the first ones to dive in and listen, and support.
Share everywhere.
Please let us know. I know Fonzie, it's about to explode with a question, but before you do it, I'm now taking the mic real quick here. I just want to make first of all, thank you for sharing that incredible story with Barefoot, and for us, for you listening right now, we had a little bit of a conversation behind cameras on what was this, and that moment, I'm sure it was not easy to live and re-stand up and be like, let's go and let's touch these relationships that we had before with this band. And it's because it's not the same person or the same thing. Like it can be really challenging, right? And I go back and related to on the business side of things, right? You guys were known for a style, you guys had a market, you guys had a following already, and then for XYZ priorities were not the same for everybody in the same organization. Some of you guys had to pivot, right? And you made that decision, hey, I'm gonna stand alone and this is what I'm gonna do, right? And on the business side, that's often it happens with partners with different things, right? Like for us, we're very fortunate that we've been aligned, right, for a long time, and we continue to be aligned to even run this show, right, even run the business the way that we do it. But for some people out there, that can be really challenging. And the fact that you're sharing that story and the fact that you're coming back like even stronger, that shows that people can do that, right? Like whether it's your partner, whether there's your brand, whether we need to pivot, right? We had the conversation with George about pivoting. That was one of the lessons for us in 2020 and 2021. How do we do that? How do we move forward? So again, that experience brings a lot, and we encourage, if you're listening today and if you're in a similar position, go ahead, try it, knock on those doors, because those experiences are just going to make you stronger, and it's going to test, right? Are you really passionate? Do you really believe in what you do to continue to push forward, right? Do you really believe that you can impact that one person? What you said, that how do I win that one person over, right? If it's only one person in the audience, right? And you perform in live scenarios, right? For us digitally, we don't see the faces of the person that's like on the other side listening, right? Even though we would love to, right? For example, right now we have Tim. What's up, Tim? Huge shout out to you, man, for tuning in. But at the same time, when we're in front of those cameras and broadcasting, whether that number is 1, whether that number is 100, we don't see the faces. You do. You see it. You feel that emotion, right? And you mentioned earlier that feeds you. Even if that's one person, and that's so powerful, that I feel a lot of us content creators and business owners tapping into going and sharing these incredible lessons with whatever audience need to take home and start to feel that way, right? And do we really believe in what we do? I think at least for us we do, and this is why we do it, and we share your incredible story.
Yeah, I've been loving all these conversations. We're definitely gonna have to do a part 2 so we can go a little bit deeper, because I want to transition here a little bit to the side of content and your brand and kind of like how you're marketing yourself, because honestly, I think it's amazing. And, you mentioned, I want to do a little remark here. You talked about your music, the next album that you're going to record, right? Your experiences that you have had this past year with your daughter. And I think that is amazing, because people sometimes ask themselves, like, what am I going to share, right? When they're trying to create content. And it's those stories, right? Those experiences, those lessons. You can also share them, right, in a live video. It like the way that you decide to share that is through your music, and the way we decide to share it is through our podcast, right? But people sometimes think about it way too much and they say, hey, guess what? That transparency is going to win people over all the time. So that being said, I want to, let's dive in definitely into the content marketing side of things, because I was looking at your social media and, man, you have a very strong presence in there. I was looking, kind of like checked out one of your live sessions that you were doing. Absolutely amazing as well. And then I started looking, how long has he done it for? And I saw that you've been doing it almost for a full year or more than a year consistently. And I mean, again, your Instagram, everything looks amazing. So I'm curious, right? How do you manage consistency in the first place? How do you manage the consistency to show up every single day for your community? And, what is your capacity to do so while you're at the same time, working on your music?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was a kind of, it was a nice treat every week to check in with the community. So every Thursday night we did a live stream on Facebook. and we did it for the full year pretty much. I think I took a little break in the summer last year because we started to have some shows. But yeah, it was like through the winter, it really, you could tell it really became like a home for people to come. And, I brought my wife into the room with me. We'd usually get our daughter to bed by like 7:30, and then 8 we'd tap in, and we'd share a glass of wine or whatever, and it was almost like our big night out.
That's cool.
To connect with people, and I think that realness came through. Like we're very tongue in cheek, and you can really tell like our relationship is on full display on those live streams.
Yeah.
And people love that. Like people just love authenticity.
Yeah.
And at first, like I almost like I didn't have her involved as much, and then I was like, I'm having more fun with her here. If I'm having more fun, that's translating to the audience. And then all of a sudden, it was like viewership would go up when she would come in the room. People were commenting more because they're like, she's live chatting with them, and just they get to know you so intimately that it becomes you become like family to them.
Yeah.
And that's what this has really been about, is just like extended family. Like I don't believe in like having fans like worship you anymore. Like that those days are gone. Like that was like the 60s, 70s, right? When like only a few selective people could even record a record because it was so expensive and so difficult to like, you couldn't just get studio time. Now, we're recording a live podcast and streaming live. We're like at the touch of your hands, you have the ability to put something out there that could affect millions of people. So that kind of waters down the pool a little bit, right? It's not as impressive anymore when you can put an album out or whatever. So like so it needs to be about more than that.
Yeah.
It needs to be about, your stream needs to be more about just playing your hits, right? I go on there and I, open my heart to the community and say like, what can I do to make your life better? Is it a happy birthday wish to, so-and-so who's been watching every stream since we started and, is alone in there, is widowed, whatever. Like those are the people that I'm there for. It's not to stroke my ego, and it's easy for me, right? It's like helping people helps me. It makes me feel better. Like, so in a way I feel like I'm like, are you kidding me? It's so easy. I'm selfishly helping myself by going on here and doing this.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Well,
so yeah, I don't know if that answers your question at all.
Yeah. I mean, I love it. I know my brother here wants to say something, but I love the aspect, right? Because I asked you about the capacity that you had, and I love the fact that it's natural to you. It's something that you want to do and you want to share with the community. And is that one fan at a time approach that you were talking about before, right? It's like, I just want to have the communication with them and connect with them, and you have their best interests at heart. Is like, how can I actually help you, right? And it's being empathetic, and that is a topic that we've talked about lately. It's being empathetic with your audience, right? Like, what are they feeling? And I love your approach of not having like those fans go crazy. It's your community, right? You're all in this together. If they succeed, you succeed, right? Vice versa. I think it's incredible, and the level of transparency talks a lot, and I think that is something that people are starting to catch on, but still lacks a little bit in the social media world and business side of things too.
Yeah, one of the things that resonated a ton that is that you mentioned, hey, this was my escape. I'm having fun here. Like it doesn't feel like I need to do this. Like I get to do this every single day, right? Like for us, again, your music is your platform. For us, our show is our platform. We get to have these conversations 3 times a week. How lucky are we, right? Mm-hmm. And same to you. You get to perform in front of your extended family, people that you enjoy connecting with, people that you're helping in different ways, emotionally, physically, especially in such a hard time like it was last year. And on top of that, you bring your wife, and you guys both have an experience out of it. So these are things that we talk about when with our community as well. Like, what is we talked often, like, what is the perfect content, right? Like, what is that thing, right? And it's like, well, first of all, we gotta create it consistently. So how are you gonna be able to create it consistently? Whether that's a podcast, a YouTube video, a live stream, like, what is it? Like, how are you actually gonna enjoy it? Is this allowing you to grow? Is this allowing your audience to grow as well? Like, and that's a journey that everybody has to take on their own. We were trying to publish for about 3-4 years, like, before we started the show, in different ways, trying to hack it, try to model after all things. And the show has elements of all these things, but it's our own. We're about to start calling the Funcast, through a conversation that FONZI had yesterday, because we had such a blast with these conversations. So again, you're the testament to that. Like, you're having fun, you're keeping it close to your heart as well, and there's no friction whatsoever to execute, except when you go live, for sure, for real, right? To an event, right? But at the end of the day, the impact is very powerful, and that feeds your soul, it feeds your audience's soul, and it's incredible. It's a win-win-win for everybody, right? So what would you say to somebody that might be like in that fence, right? You clearly are very open with your live streams, and you bring family and to you it kind of comes natural, but there's a lot of people that might be on the fence of like, hey man, like, how do I move past that and start doing it? What is like your number one advice to that person, whether that's an artist, whether that's an entrepreneur, right? To fully dive into their publishing.
Well, I think it can be like if you have like a stage character that you become, or that you want to, if you want to keep those things separate, then I think you need to make a conscious decision and to do that, and to say like, okay, this is who I am as an actor or whatever. And when I'm in that role, when I go live, that's who I become. And then my family is private and separate from that. That works for some people. You just have to decide, okay, that's, you have to be fully committed to that.
Yeah.
For me, anytime I tried to, be too serious or too like whatever, like image based, that's when I felt the most disingenuous. And I think that comes across, like people can see right through that. And I honestly think the fact that technology's come so far, like everybody knows what's happening on the other side of the camera when, people are filming a podcast or filming a movie for that matter, or filming or doing press shots or whatever. Like everybody's taking selfies constantly. Like everyone's having their own personal press shot at any moment you walk down the street. So it's like, and we've kind of built these personas on our social medias, right?
Yeah.
Of these like fake, this is my, social media life and this is my real life. And that's kind of a fun thing to do for people, is to like show like actual reality versus Insta reality or whatever. And I think it's important to do that, and to like peel back the curtain and be like, for me at least, like that, I just don't have the energy to be exact like the perfect image of whatever it is I'm trying to be. Like all I'm trying to be is me, and that means and nothing brings that out more than when I have my wife join me for a live stream and we're bantering about the dishes or whatever, things that are so relatable. And I think that comes across as like very comforting, especially during this time, that like we're going through the same things as you are at home or whatever. And to go back to your point, like, how lucky are we that we get to tune in, from a Wi-Fi device in the comfort of our home. We have a roof over our house, like, like things that so easily get taken for granted. And I'm so grateful and lucky that I, did a lot of traveling and have done through music. And when I was in college, I went to Venezuela and, to see the barrios and like really be like, taste and smell the culture, and still see a kid who lives in the trash dumps of Nicaragua, and they're still smiling, they still have joy. with nothing, it's a very impactful thing to see, to get out there and see what other people's reality is and how they can still be happier than you. Like that's a very
yes,
humbling. It's a very humbling experience, and I think that's humility needs. It's sorely needed in this country. And if I can reach people through being more authentically me and encourage them to do that themselves, I think, like you said, that empathy is it's addictive, and it kind of hopefully will continue to spread if you put it out there.
absolutely.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your answer. I loved it. And like, as you were speaking, I had like a little epiphany there, which is kind of like a social media gap, right? Like we have this reality that we're living, but then what we share, what some people share is what they want, kind of like what they want to be perceived as. And that gap between those two is just friction. It's friction for them to, actually go out there.
Don't get me wrong. Like I still post my favorite press shots, and I still post the ones where I'm like, but it's okay to celebrate those moments, those victories, right? Like where you're like, damn, that's exactly what I wanted to look like, and that's how I want to represent myself. That's okay. Like, but then, when you don't have to be that, like that's just a snapshot in your life, in your career, or whatever, in your business, and beyond that, that's why I love playing live, because I get to meet people and be on stage, and I'm vulnerable, and some nights I don't feel good, or I just don't have the energy, and I still have to figure out a way to get through the show, and usually it's because I tune into somebody out there on their experience of what they're going through, or somebody will say to me before a show, like, we've had a really hard last month or whatever, we lost somebody in our family, whatever, and your music has lifted us through that time. Anything like that, it just knocks me back into, okay, this is beyond me, and you need to tape up your ankle if it's sore and go out there and play the best soccer game of your life, the best workhorse, like whatever it is. It doesn't matter what what your sport or your passion, whatever your career, you got to figure out ways to motivate yourself and and go out there and deliver. So I mean, that's why I love sports so much. It teaches you so many lessons, right?
Absolutely.
Life lessons, and so. Yeah, it's just a very humbling and rewarding experience, and I'm super grateful to to talk about it with you guys and to go out there and try to live it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. What a fun conversation. Incredible. Like completely a new perspective as well for us having this conversation with you, and we appreciate you for that. Last question, right? For you, publishing looks very different than for us, but I think the question still applies. Like, where will you be if you did not publish, if you didn't put your music out there, if you didn't put your message out there?
Where would I be? I'd be a hermit, probably. Farming. I don't know. I like I said, it's like giving birth when you finally let go of it and put it out into the sonic atmosphere, or into the interweb, where it takes on its own life and meaning. That's when I feel the most at peace, when I can let go of it, because I so deeply believe that the songs, the music, the message might lift somebody up or help somebody else, because it's usually written to help myself out of a situation or an experience, translating an emotion, that there's a good chance that there's another human being out there that feels the same way, and maybe it could do the same for them. And as I said, it doesn't matter if it's one person. It still feels good to get it out there, and So yeah, I don't. To answer your question, I don't know what I'd be.
Yeah.
I'd be a miserable human being to be around. I think because I'd just be like, just ready to explode with
Yeah.
Oh man, thank you for sharing.
Powerful, yeah.
And we asked this obviously to try to, well, first, like, it inspires us to keep publishing, keep sharing the message, and then to hopefully inspire the listener too, right? To take action and put their message out there.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you? Where can people connect with you? Obviously, we're gonna leave everything right in the links, but what's the best way for people to connect with you?
If you go to my website, which is willevans.com, there, I think in like the header photo, once you get to the website, actually has my phone number on there. So this is something new which we've tried.
Yeah.
We just put it out there in the last week. It's not my actual phone number. It's called an app called Community.
Yeah.
Which I love. And you can send us a text, and I will get it, and I will answer you. It's amazing. It's an amazing tool. I think it's what's so cool about it to me is that it's like a direct, IV to the fan. Instead of relying on them seeing a post on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, where it might get buried in the algorithms or whatever. It's literally the text comes through to me, and I can say like, yep, here's I'm playing in your town or whatever. Here's a new album, whatever, and it goes right to your messenger.
So cool.
Yeah.
So that I would say jump on there because we've already built that community. In a week to over 300 people, and we're gonna be pushing that every show. I want people to jump on there because it's direct access to me and to the fans, and it's been cool because a lot of people have asked questions, and I'm literally texting people right back. So it is my phone number. I get those alerts, and it's just it's a very amazing tool. And I think like I said, with the tech giants kind of running the show on the other platforms, this really gives the power back to the creator and the influencer. I've earned all those fans, and yet I can't access them anymore unless I pay a bunch of money to Facebook or Instagram, whatever. It's just going to get harder and harder. So you need to diversify, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
I love it.
You got to go pick up your kid. Your alarm went off.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. So, well, dude, thank you so much again.
By the way, we have Tim here. He was sharing. He's like, man, I already follow him everywhere. I'm digging his music. Leaning has great lyrics, and he said he just sent you a text as well. So, Tim, thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Tim, welcome to the kind folk.
Yeah, let's go.
That's awesome.
We might have to go get a couple of those hoodies and shirts.
Yes, absolutely. They look amazing. Well, we're definitely we're gonna get some of those. And Ben, thank you so much. It has been absolutely amazing, refreshing. I'm gonna go ahead and join the community as well. I will be sending you a text as well. And one last question: are you coming to a show in Jacksonville, Florida, eventually?
Yeah, we'll definitely be back there. I wish I had known you guys before because I played there in March.
Oh wow!
Yeah, we'll probably be coming back through next winter. I would imagine. We usually tour the southern states in March, April.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's okay. If not, we'll just drive to you at some point.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I'll meet you. That's awesome.
Respect. Yeah. Thank you, guys.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate you. And with that said, thank you guys so much for tuning into the Content is Profit podcast. Go ahead and subscribe, follow the show in your favorite platform, and follow us on social media at BIZBROS Co.
That is right. And if you find today's episode impactful and Will is helping you move a step closer to your goals, please don't forget to share it and leave a 5-star review. Thank you.
Bye, guys.